Okay, welcome to the High School District Quiz Bowl. We have two teams that will be competing for you this morning, Lapeer East and Port Huron Northern, correct? I'm Scott Gregg, your moderator. Judy Allen will be the judge, and Gordy Jamison will be our timekeeper this morning. I'd like the teams to introduce themselves, so let's start with Lapeer East. Why don't you introduce yourselves first?
Dan Brzezinski.
Ray Micus.
Charles Patterson.
Eric Calhoun.
Michael Sparling.
Paul Spaven.
Alicia Amy.
Rebecca Spore.
Okay, great. Good luck to both teams. Just a little bit about it. The toss-up questions will be 15 points. If they get that question right, then they'll pick up a bonus question for 10 points. We've got two 15-minute halves with a 3-minute break in between, and the teams, of course, can call a timeout to substitute players, or they can substitute players at the half. And we'll start with the first question, a toss-up question for both teams. Barclays is the largest bank in which country?
The U.S.?
Port Huron Northern.
The U.S.?
That's incorrect. Lapeer East.
Great Britain.
That's correct, Great Britain. And you'll pick up the bonus question. The 8th largest bank in the world is Crédit Agricole from which country?
Canada.
That's incorrect, France. Okay, toss-up question for both teams. This Anglo-Dutch corporation is the 3rd largest in the world. We'll call time on that. The answer was Royal Dutch or Shell. All right, toss-up question for both teams. This U.S. company is the world's largest securities firm in terms of capital. Port Huron.
Merrill Lynch.
That's incorrect. Lapeer East.
Prudential Bates.
That's incorrect. Solomon is the one we were looking for. We'll have a toss-up question for both teams. What city will host the 1991 Texaco Star National Academic Championship? We have a hint with this. It'll also host the 1992 Republican Presidential Convention. Lapeer East.
New Orleans.
Incorrect. And I'll call time on that one. Correct answer is Houston. New Orleans is the one who hosted the last Republican convention. Toss-up question for both teams. Colin Powell, as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, represents all of the military services, but he is a member of which branch? Port Huron.
United States Army.
That's correct. Okay, you'll pick up the bonus question, Port Huron Northern. Why are many people unhappy that the Dodge Stealth RT Turbo was selected as the pace car for the May 26th Indy 500?
Made in Japan.
Captain?
Because it's not an American-built car.
That's correct, because it's made in Japan. Alrighty, the toss-up question for both teams. The Department of Health and Human Services recently removed which disease from the list of illnesses that can keep someone from entering the United States? Port Huron.
AIDS.
AIDS is the correct answer, and you'll pick up the bonus question, Port Huron Northern. Which world chess champ is deputy chairman of the new Democratic Party of Russia?
Karpov. K-A-R-P-O-R-O-V. Karporov.
Captain, your answer, please.
Karpov.
Can you spell that?
K-A-R-P-O-V.
That's incorrect. It's Kasparov. He was the other fella who took on Karpov. Okay, we'll take the toss-up question for both teams. The Motion Picture Association of America has dropped the X rating and replaced it with the Port Huron.
NC-17.
Incorrect. I'll finish the question for the benefit of the Lapeer team and replace it with the NC-17 rating, meaning that children under 17 will not be allowed to see it. Name the film based on the Lapeer East. I need your answer, Lapeer. I'll call time on that. Take 5 points away. All righty. Toss-up question for both teams. Identify the country in which each of the following notable fossils was first discovered. Heidelberg Man. Port Huron Northern.
Germany.
That's correct. The bonus question would be, identify the country in which each of the following notable fossils was first discovered. Java Man.
Java is Indonesia.
Indonesia.
That's correct. Indonesia or Java? Okay, toss-up question for both teams. This is another part of that question. Identify the country in which each of the following notable fossils was first discovered. Neanderthal man. Port Huron.
France.
Incorrect. Time. Correct answer on that was West Germany, or Germany. Would have taken that. And a final toss-up question in this series. Identify the country in which each of the following notable fossils was first discovered. Cro-Magnon. Port Huron.
China.
That's incorrect. I'll finish that. Cro-Magnon man. Call time on that. Lapeer East, the correct answer on that would have been France. Okay, toss-up questions for both teams. When senators go on a talking marathon to stall a vote, Port Huron.
Filibuster.
That's correct, Port Huron. You'll pick up the bonus question. The legislative branch of the federal government is divided into the Senate and the House of Representatives. Identify both the number of senators in the Senate and the number of congressmen in the House.
There are 100 senators and 435 representatives.
That's correct. Okay. Toss-up question for both teams. In a congressional election year, what percent of the members of the House... Port Huron.
100%.
I'm sorry, that's going to be the incorrect answer because this is a two-parter, so I'm going to finish the question for the benefit of the Lapeer East team. What percent of the members of the House of Representatives and of the Senate are elected? Lapeer East.
100% of the House and 1/3 of the Senate.
That's correct.
32%.
Yep, that's correct. Okay, you'll pick up the bonus question. Lapeer, under what circumstances may a congressman be elected at large?
When his predecessor dies.
Nope, not the answer we're looking for. When the state legislature fails to redistrict after the 10-year census.
Timeout, please.
Okay, timeout for both teams.
Yeah, but did you want to be a doctor when you were little?
Well,
You would have been the best doctor, Grandpa.
oh, you think so?
It's too late for some dreams, but not for others.
If your neighborhood's a little rough, don't get scared, get organized. When neighbors and bullies team up, crime doesn't stand much of a chance. Yeah, so pick up a pencil and write this down. I'll show you how you can help me take a bite out of crime.
All right, we're all set to resume play here with a toss-up question for both teams. Lesotho, I'll spell that, Lesotho, is located on what? Lapeer East.
South Africa.
That's incorrect. Is located on what continent? Port Huron.
Africa.
That's correct, and you'll pick up the bonus question. What is titled Lesotho, Our Fatherland?
Oh, perhaps the national anthem of...
South Africa. Yes, South Africa.
Captain, your answer, please.
The national anthem of
That's-
South Africa.
That's correct. Let's see. Toss-up question for both teams. Instead of money, a court in Lesotho might fine you so many head of what? Port Huron.
Cattle.
That's correct. And you'll pick up the bonus question with that, Port Huron. Until 1966, under the name Basutoland, and that's Basutoland, Lesotho was a colony of what country?
Great Britain. Great Britain.
Captain, your answer, please.
The Netherlands.
Incorrect. Great Britain is the answer we're looking for. All right, toss-up question for both teams. Identify the private health plans known as HM Lapeer East.
Health Medicare organizations.
Incorrect. Port Huron.
Health maintenance organizations.
That's correct, and you'll pick up the bonus question. For Port Huron, in falconry, what is removed from a falcon only after the game has been sighted?
The hood.
That's correct, Captain, the hood. You'll love this. The sighted was spelled C-I-T-E-D in that one instead of S-I-G-H-T-E-D, so they even make screw-ups in their questions here sometimes. Toss-up question for both teams. What legal term is used to describe a land deed? Port Huron.
A title.
That's correct. Bonus question for you, Port Huron. A barrister is a lawyer, and an ornithologist or ornithologist is a study of birds. What profession would you hold if you were a turnkey?
Doorkeeper?
Captain, your answer.
Turnkey is an individual who takes over corporations and then resells them for a profit.
Incorrect. Good stab at a jailer or a warden. Turnkey. Dates from way back when they actually used keys instead of computers. All right, a toss-up questions for both teams. A gas has a pressure of 760 torr and a volume of 8 cubic centimeters. If the volume were changed to 17 cubic centimeters, what would the new pressure be at constant temperature? Port Huron.
1,520 torrs.
That's incorrect. And I'll call time on that. 357.6 torr was the correct answer. Okay, so I guess Port Huron will lose 5 points for their incorrect answer. And a toss-up question for both teams. A refrigerator, a box, and a stock are all different kinds of what vehicle? Lapeer.
Railroad car?
That's correct. Railroad cars. Bonus question, Lapeer. Operation of the Marshall Plan began in what year?
1947.
That's correct, 1947. Okay, teams, some literature questions for you for the toss-up question. What American novelists were famous? What American novelist more famous for his stories, I'd say was more famous for his stories of migrant workers in the Central Valley of California, wrote the Lapeer.
Steinbeck?
That's correct, John Steinbeck. And the bonus question, Lapeer, what book did John F. Kennedy write that won a Pulitzer Prize?
Profiles of Courage.
That's correct. Toss-up question for both teams. What was the top-selling American novel before Gone with the Wind? Port Huron.
Moby Dick.
Incorrect. I'll call time on that. Uncle Tom's Cabin was the answer. Toss-up question for both teams. Name the American novelist, a satirist of the rich and famous, or a satirist of the rich and famous, who won a Pulitzer Prize for the late George Apley. Call time on that. John P. Marquand is who we're looking for. And a toss-up question for both teams. Whose vice president was born Leslie Lynch King? Lapeer.
Franklin Pierce.
Incorrect. I'll call time on that. Nixon's vice president. He was otherwise known as Gerald R. Ford. All right. Toss-up question. The Trinity River feeds Galveston Bay. Into what bay does the Susquehanna River empty? Lapeer.
Chesapeake.
Chesapeake Bay is correct. Okay. The bonus question for Lapeer. Any arched brick or stone ceiling is called a vault by architects. What is the name of the simplest kind of vault with a single continuous arch?
Barrel vault.
I'm sorry?
A barrel vault.
That's correct. A barrel vault is correct. All right, the toss-up question for both teams. This poem is considered to be Geoffrey Chaucer's greatest work. Lapeer. Lapeer, I
Canterbury
need
Tales.
Incorrect, and I'll finish the question for Port Huron Northern's benefit. Apart from the Canterbury Tales, both a romance and a philosophical tragedy, it is set in ancient Troy before the fall of that city-state. What is that poem's title? I'll call time on that. Troilus and Cressida. I hope I pronounced that right. Toss-up question for both teams. What is the minimum IQ of a genius? Port Huron.
160.
That's incorrect. Lapeer East.
140?
140 is correct. All right, you pick up the bonus question, and Port Huron Northern lost 5 points. Well, this is going to be a tough one. You'll have to be a genius to get the answer to this one. What is the degree of the polynomial 2x to the third power, y to the third power, plus 3x to the second power, y to the third power, z to the second power, minus 6x to the second power, y to the third power, z?
The third degree.
Third degree is incorrect. 7 was the correct answer on that. Okay, toss-up question for both teams. The uncontrollable urge to sleep during normal waking... Lapeer.
Narcolepsy?
Narcolepsy is correct. Okay, bonus question for you, Lapeer. What tale has the moral, quote, "He who wants everything gets nothing"? Captain, your answer.
The one with the dog size reflection in the mirror.
Nope, the goose and the golden eggs was the answer we're looking for. Good try, though. Toss-up question for both teams. What word is defined as, quote, "any gap or opening, a break where a part is missing, as in a manuscript"? Port Huron.
Caesura.
Incorrect. And I'll call time on that hiatus that we're looking for. All right, the toss-up question for both teams. U.S. Highway 101 in California closely follows the path of an early Spanish road that connected San Diego with the Franciscan missions 500 miles to the north. What was the Spanish road called? Port Huron.
The Santa Fe Trail.
Incorrect. And I'll call time on that. The correct answer, El Camino Real. Riel, probably be the Spanish pronunciation. Toss-up question for both of you teams. Modern chemistry is considered to have begun with the work and writings of what Lapeer?
Lavoisier?
Incorrect, and I'll finish the question. Of what English scientist who also formulated one of the basic laws of physics? Port Huron.
Newton.
Incorrect. Okay, both teams lost 5 points in there. Robert Boyle was the answer. Toss-up question. Well, okay, halftime. We'll take a 3-minute break, teams.
For some people, doing their tax forms by themselves can make them feel like they're climbing the walls. Free tax help is available from IRS-trained volunteers. They'll make your taxes less taxing.
Tonight, Dolores had a few drinks, did some crack, and ended up another tragic story. Only she doesn't know it yet. Drugs make you forget. And if you forget how risky sex can be, you could catch the AIDS virus and not know it for months, even years. AIDS, another way drugs can kill.
And welcome back for our television audience. Again, Port Huron Northern taking on Lapeer East in the District High School Quiz Bowl Championship. Port Huron leading right now, 110-95. So we have a relatively close game. And we'll start with a toss-up question for both teams. You know where Asia is, but where is Laurasia? And I'll spell that Laurasia. And I'll call a time on that. Smart move. It doesn't exist. That's the correct answer. Nice little trick question they throw in there. Toss-up question for both teams. Name the legendary rock festival held in upstate New York. Port Huron.
Woodstock.
Woodstock is right, 1969. And a bonus question for Port Huron. The coefficient of volume expansion is approximately how many times the coefficient of linear expansion?
Oh, that was in physics.
I think it's like three times or 9 times.
1, 3, 5.
Captain, your answer, please.
4 times.
Incorrect. 3 was the answer. Both teams can take this toss-up question. A member of the cabbage family with a condensed white head is called what? Lapeer East.
Cauliflower?
Cauliflower is correct, and you'll pick up the bonus question, Lapeer. Why did explorers for northern European nations look for a northwest passage to the Orient?
So they could trade spices.
Yeah, I'll have to say incorrect. That's not the answer that it has here, because 2 nations dominated the southern regions of the Americas. So I'll call that an incorrect bonus answer. Toss-up question for both teams. What Spanish word do we use in English to describe a public square or an open space? Lapeer.
Plaza.
Plaza is correct. And another bonus question for Lapeer. Barry and Tricia invested $8,000 and $4,000 respectively in a record store. At the end of the year, the profits are $55,000. If each partner received a share of the profits equal to the percentage of his investment, how much did each of them receive? Captain, your answer, please.
$27,000.
Nope, we needed the, how much each of them received. Barry received $36,666.67, and Tricia $18,333.33. Tough one. All right, toss-up question for both teams. Types of cobra, crab, penguin, and salmon all carry what monarch? Lapeer East.
King.
King is the correct answer on that. Bonus question for Lapeer. Although a civilian during World War II, he served as a special observer for General Henry Arnold, commanding general of the U.S. Army Air Forces, and Secretary of War Henry Stimson. Returning from the Soviet Union in 1942, his plane crashed, and he and his companions underwent a 27-day ordeal on a raft before being rescued. He's most famous for his 26 victories in dogfights during World War I. Name him.
York.
That's incorrect. Eddie Rickenbacker later went on to found an airline. Okay, toss-up question for both teams. Which apostle walked on water for a while? Port Huron.
Peter.
Peter is correct. And you'll get the bonus question. Cephalopods, and I'll spell that since I'm not totally familiar with the pronunciation, CEPHALOPODS, are mollusks. But what are cepheid variables, or cepheid variables?
Sounds like something from
Captain, your answer, please.
Those unexplainable things that take place during the genetic reproduction process.
I don't know where you came up with that. Stars was the answer. Okay, toss-up question for both teams. A porpoise is a small-toothed whale found in most seas with a torpedo-shaped body and blunt snout. How do you spell Lapeer East?
Porpoise.
That's correct. Okay, the bonus question for Lapeers. Actors Lon Chaney Jr. and Oliver Reed have both played the roles of men who play beasts when the moon is full. What name is given to these beastly men?
Werewolf.
Oh, yeah, you better get that one right. That's correct. All right, toss-up questions for both teams. Evaluate 7 factorial. Lapeer. I need your answer.
1,540.
Incorrect. Port Huron, you want to give it a stab? Nope. Okay, I'll call time. 5,040. 5040 is the correct answer. Toss-up question to both teams. To what war was the poet Siegfried Sassoon referring when he wrote this? When it was all said and done, the war was mainly a matter of holes and ditches. Lapeer East.
World War I.
World War I is correct. You'll pick up the bonus question for that correct answer. The astronomer who first stated that galaxies are moving away from the Earth at a speed proportional to their distances from Earth also was the first person to see galaxies beyond the Milky Way. Name him.
Hubble.
Hubble is correct. Edward Hubble. Okay, toss-up question for both teams. A significant development in Chinese thought was the philosophy of the way, usually attributed. Port Huron.
Taoism.
Tao is correct. I'll take that for an answer. And Port Huron, what is the sum of 2 consecutive positive odd integers if their product is 63?
7 and 9, 16.
16.
Port Huron, that's correct, 16. Port Huron picks up 10 points on the bonus questions. Toss-up question for both teams. In how many different ways could 3 elephants line up in a circus? Lapeer East.
6.
6 is correct. All right, the bonus question with that one. What European leader was given this nickname by the Soviet Defense Ministry newspaper Red Star in 1976? The Iron Lady.
Margaret Thatcher.
That's correct, Margaret Thatcher. Toss-up question for both teams. Montgomery launched his attack in October of 1942. After a week's fighting, the Germans had only 90 tanks left, the British 800. On November 3rd, however, Hitler forbade retreat. This battle occurred near what Egyptian village? Port Huron.
Alexandria.
Incorrect. Lapeer East.
El Alamein.
Yes, correct answer. Very good. Okay, the bonus question for Lapeer. All the children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, etc., of the same parents are referred to by what three-syllable term? Captain, your
Descendant.
answer. That's correct. Descendants, or progeny was also one of those answers. Toss-up question for both teams. The thermocline marks the transition between warm surface and cold deep water. What is the name for a layer of rapid salinity change between high surface salinity and low deep zone salinity? I'll call time on that. A halicline was what they were looking for. Toss-up question for both teams. Name the destination of the lead plane in this quote. We are on our way to mainland Japan. Our Lapeer.
Hiroshima.
Incorrect, and I'll finish the question. Our contingent consists of 3 B-29 Superforts, 2 with no bombs. Our lead plane is carrying another atomic bomb, the second in 3 days. Port Huron.
Nagasaki.
Nagasaki is correct, and you'll pick up the bonus question here. For 10 points, Port Huron, which body system has these functions? Vitamin D synthesis, heat conservation, protection from microbes, heat dissipation.
The nose,
No, what system?
respiratory.
I have endocrine.
The endocrine system?
Incorrect. The integumentary system? You probably know how to pronounce it. How's that pronounced?
Integumentary.
Okay, good, thanks. The toss-up question, sorry, can't give you any points for that one. Toss-up question for both teams. What four-syllable term beginning with the letter A describes this kind of evidence? The treated beans seemed greener. I've noticed that most aliens lack ears. Several folks said that drought is becoming more prevalent. Time. Correct answer was anecdotal. Toss-up question for both teams. The premature expulsion from the uterus of a product of conception is called a... Port Huron.
Miscarriage?
That's correct. And you'll pick up the bonus question for 10 points, Port Huron. A plant community at the end of a succession is described by what adjective?
Oh, terminal. It's after it's run through everything like swamp. What's the term?
Captain, your answer, please.
Terminal.
Incorrect. Climax is the term we were looking for. Toss-up question for both teams. What African country is bordered by Algeria, Libya, and the Mediterranean? Lapeer East.
Tunisia.
Tunisia is right. And for the bonus question for 10 points, Lapeer East, what term or concept relating to politics was defined as follows by Ambrose Bierce? A statesman who is enamored of existing evils as distinguished from the liberal who wishes to replace them with others.
Conservative.
That's correct. Conservative is right. Okay, pick up the 10 points in that bonus question and a toss-up question for both teams. Buttes are tall, steep-sided towers of rock that are all that remain of former extensive flat regions of raised rock known as Lapeer East.
Plateau.
Incorrect. And I'm sorry, I was going to call time on that, Port Huron. Lapeer lost 5 points, and then mesas was the term we were looking for. Toss-up question for both teams. Some people of the Old West thought that whiskey was an antidote for snakebite. However, whiskey would actually make the effects of the venom worse because the alcohol... Port Huron.
It dilates the body's blood vessels, allowing the poison to flow quicker throughout the body to the heart, killing the individual.
I'll take that. Stimulant was the answer we're looking for, but that's what you mean. I'll take that. Okay, for 10 points for the bonus question, Port Huron. What is the name for the process illustrated below? Uranium-238 to thorium-234 to protactinium-234 to uranium-234 to thorium-230 to radium-226 to radon-222 to polonium, and I'll spell it Polonium-218 to lead-214.
Yeah.
Radioactive decay.
That's correct, radioactive decay. Okay, toss-up question for both teams. What figure of speech is used in this quote by Francis Bacon? Learning hath his infancy when it is but Lapeer.
Personification.
Personification is right, and you'll pick up the bonus question for 10 points, Lapeer. Name the archangel who is said to have disclosed the word of God to Muhammad. Captain.
Allah?
Nope, Gabriel was the angel. Toss-up question for both teams. What is the slope of a line parallel to the line defined below? 5x minus 2y equals 3. Lapeer.
2 over 5.
Incorrect. Port Huron.
5 over 2.
5 over 2 is the correct answer on that one. Okay, Port Huron, bonus question for you. Who wrote these following lines? And Smiley says, shorter and different, like, quote, it might be a parrot and it might be a canary, maybe, but it ain't. It's only just a frog.
Samuel Twain.
Mark Twain.
Mark Twain. Yeah, I heard Samuel Clemens up there, too. I would have taken that answer. All right, toss-up question for both teams. What three-syllable architectural term beginning with the letter C refers to the Leaning Tower of Pisa and other such Italian bell towers? Time on that. Campanile, and C-A-M-P-A-N-I-L-E was the answer we're looking for. Toss-up question for both teams. Cora and Alice Munro are sisters in what novel by Mr. Cooper?
The Last of the Mohicans?
Last of the Mohicans is correct. All right, Port Huron, the bonus question for 10 points, and these are multiple choice. The Italian term largo, L-A-R-G-O, best describes the overall tempo of A, Flight of the Bumblebee, B, the William Tell Overture, C, Pomp and Circumstance, D, Ride the Valkyries, E, the 1812 Overture.
I'd either go with A or C. I'd probably go with A. No, Largo would be risk. Yeah. Go with C then. William Tell Overture.
Captain, your answer.
The William Tell Overture.
Nope, C, Pomp and Circumstance is the correct answer on that. Toss-up question for both teams. Again, I'll remind you, these are multiple choice. Loose fragments, particles, or grains that have been formed by disintegrating rock are collectively known as... Port Huron.
Sediments.
Incorrect. I'll go through these for the benefit of the Lapeer team. Detritus, D-E-T-R-I-T-U-S, Bacron, Breccia, that's B-R-E-C-C-I-A, exfoliates, and placers. Lapeer. Need your answer. Need your answer, Lapeer.
Exfoliates.
That's incorrect. A, Detritus was the one we were looking for. Okay, what's the final score there? Final score, 250 to 255, and the 255 team is Lapeer East. Congratulations, Lapeer East. Thanks for joining us to our audience.